Gentlemen, ladies, and anyone in between, I welcome you all, and well, wouldn't you know it, it's 2018, and somehow, defying all odds, a manufacturer of fishing line somehow managed to come out with a new product that offers higher horsepower, better ride handling, better fuel efficiency, and better acceleration. No shit. Anytime there's a new launch of a new product, specifically fishing line, it's beyond more of the same. They make all these crazy claims that it does this, that, and the other thing. And 90% of the time, it's worse than the line you used 10 years ago. With that being said, Sufix has come out with a new Advance HPE trademarked hypercopolymer advanced monofilament. And that's a mouthful. And before this stuff came out, I was really looking forward to it. I got some behind the scenes pictures of it. And when I saw it, it almost looked like there were like embedded shreds of Dyneema or Spectra or some kind of PE, and I was really hoping it was going to come out and be like a fiberglass resin mixed with a fiberglass matting or a chop when you would make kind of like a fiberglass enclosure or tub or something like that, where the resin bonds to the fiberglass and then they extrude it and all that kind of good stuff. No. It says HMPE, which is high molecular weight polyethylene molecules blended, not bonded, with polyamides are drawn to the line surface and stuff. These magnets and eddy currents, and that somehow magic happens when they extrude it. So there are no little shreds of Dyneema PE or any kind of HMPE. So that was kind of let down. But beyond that, what is this line all about? So I have had some time to spend with it on the water, and there are claims that this line has half the stretch of a standard monofilament, which is what everybody says, is not true. If you look at all the crap on the table, I have this craptacular scale here. I have a fancy schmancy reel that I'm going to tell you is spooled with this Sufix stuff, which it is. It's spooled with the 8-pound test. I have some P-line Halo, some P-line Tactical, the Staple, which is the Trilene Big Game, and we have the 2 spools of the new Advance in both a 12-pound and 8-pound. So getting right into it, is this line good? Is this line bad? What is it good for? And is it accurate to what they say on the package? So Sufix is claiming that this thing has, and again, Sufix has their own website for this line. You can go to sufixadvance.com, and yeah, it takes you, it's all about this line, which is, interesting to say the least. So they're definitely making a marketing push over here in the States and over in the UK. So 96% brake strength for a uni knot. Is that true? No, that's not even close, actually. The 12-pound, no, this is the 12-pound, broke it close to 17 pounds. And the elongation was about 5.5 inches. But that doesn't tell the whole story. When you look at the 8-pound test here, compare it to the 12-pound test P-line Halo, regardless of brake strength. We all know that using a uni knot on fluorocarbon is no bueno. A double uni, sure. A polymer, double polymer, whatever knot you're using, uni is not going to be the best on any kind of fluorocarbon. The knot strength smoked the fluoro. But when you compare the 2 diameters, 8-pound test, brand spanking new, super fancy, versus old school fluoro, same diameter. So the 8-pound is the same diameter as a 12-pound, measured with calipers. And I found it interesting. There is a review website over in the UK, and they're pretty much the only publication that put out anything that appeared to be more than just reading off the package label or the FTEX sheet when this thing debuted last year over there in 2017. FTEX here debuted at ICAST. And he said it was very thin, or it was thinner, or whatever he said. 0.30. Okay? 12-pound test. Yeah, man. What is this, 0.31, 0.30, 0.31? Almost identical. What does it say on the package? 0.28. Now, rest assured, I checked throughout the line. If I squeezed hard, I can get it to 0.29 maybe. But again, 0.30 versus 0.31 versus 0.28. That's usually, when you look at the charts on Tackle Warehouse, that usually, that one placeholder, where that one numerical increase is usually what indicates the jump up from 10 to 12 to 14, all that kind of crap. So it's not thin. And when you compare the 12-pound to, say, the Berkeley Big Game, yeah, the Berkeley Big Game is thinner. And when you tie a uni knot, And again, all this crap here that's broken, yeah, I was going to do some crazy tests to find out what stretched more and what broke it, I did all the tests. I'll put the video out after this. It's like an hour long. I compared all the lines. Diameters, break strengths, how much they elongated before they broke, how much they elongated at 3 pounds, because I wanted to see the true story about fishing line isn't all about stretch in relation to sensitivity. If a line stretches 4 inches or 3 inches at 3 pounds versus a line that stretches 1 inch at 3 pounds of load, if they're the same diameter and the same pound test, yeah, that's kind of when you see the sensitivity increases when you deal with that lower stretch at the lower strains, because you're dragging the bait. You're not breaking off, stretching 10 feet, at 12 pounds. So that's kind of what I was trying to do, and it just was a mess. So, real world usage, this line, Sufix is $11 or $10 330 yard monofilament. On the spool, it's kind of milky. On the reel, it's fairly clear. On the spool here, it looks milky, almost like what you would get out of like a Berkeley Fireline crystal or like a Ghost, but it's a little more translucent. But again, when you look at it on its own, it's clear monofilament. There's no way around it. It's not white, it's not milky, so I don't want you guys to get that impression that it's not clear. It is. How sensitive is it? Well, me going back to 99 with Fenwick iron thread, I think that was the last time for a freshwater reel, other than a BFS reel and a swimbait reel. That was the last time I ever spooled up with monofilament 100%. I think I had a Chuck and Duck, steelhead reel for the winter time where I would use braided monofilament, which keep your arms moving, keeps you nice and warm when you're using it. And I think that was the last time. So I've been using braid as a main line and tying in a leader using an Alberto, an FG, or a PR knot. Those are my 3 main knots that I use, and I get to choose where in the setup it's going to break. So I can tie a leader on and tie a uni at the terminal end and determine with the PR or the FG that it's always going to break at the hook and I don't have to retie a leader. So seeing that I can tie a uni and it holds 96% break strength, that was awesome to hear. And I'll tell you what, they overtest. The 8 pound breaks at 12. The 12 pound breaks it closer to 17. With a 6 turn uni in the 12 and a 7 turn uni in the 8. So that claim technically isn't true because it overtests. And in comparison, this line here, which is 0.35 versus 0.37, breaks at just like 15.75 on a couple tests versus the 16 and change on the Sufix. So the break strength versus diameter and a uni knot, trilene big game is stronger. The stretch, everybody knows trilene big game is the gold standard for offshore pelagics, hard running, hard charging, hard hitting fish. So when we got a trolling spread out, you have bluefin tuna, yellowfin tuna come sideways at 90 miles an hour. We're not doing 90, but you don't want to shock off when you come tight. You don't want to break off on a hook set. You need that shock resistance and stretch. Surprisingly didn't stretch all that much more than the fancy Sufix. And this stuff is what, $10 for 1,200 yards? This is $10 for 300. The other thing I want to make mention of, and again, this is all stuff on the bench. This is all the stuff that I tested for, and I was kind of scratching my head because I'm like, wait a minute. My experience in the water doesn't match what I'm seeing on the bench, which is probably why I'm not going to show the entire hour long, because at the end of it, I'm like, damn, all this data sucks, because it's really good fishing line. It's not the thinnest. I recommend that if you're shopping this line, based on these two samples meaning 12 pound and 8 pound, shop via your preferred diameter. Shop by that number right there, not that number, because a lot of times diameter is what affects the way a line fishes and how you can fish certain areas. If you fish in heavy current, if you want to fish an 8 pound line, you want to be able to control your baits the best. You want a thinner line so you can you let the bait determine and your presentation determine how deep it is, not the diameter and the resistance in the water causing it to determine how the bait's going to run. So in this instance, shopping via diameter is a much better idea than shopping by pound test. And again, that's pretty much the standard across the board, but it really does apply here because this stuff is thick. Again, I'm a braid guy. I fish leaders. I'm not a guy who fishes this stuff as a main line. Until now, I was very impressed. The sensitivity of this stuff, there's something to it. Whatever they're putting here, and I challenge you guys, go on the internet and try to find anything related to HPE in regards to a polymer or polyethylene or anything like that. This is a made-up Sufix marketing jargon thing. You know, the trademark, I'm assuming, is theirs. I can't find anything HPE anywhere in the World Wide Webs. And regardless of that, it is a good line to fish. I can't speak to the long-term durability. I only got a handful of hours on it, and I usually don't put out line reviews this earlier on, predominantly because I only fish braid, and it takes months and tons of different situations to determine how good a braid really is compared to another one, because they're all 90% the same crap anyway. This guy, after a few hours, I can already feel it's more sensitive. It handles beautifully. Doesn't get waterlogged like a lot of other monofilaments do. I can, make a long cast across, shallow current, 2, 3, 4 feet of water, and I can keep that line off the water, get a good drift. The stretch, it is a little less than the other competition, especially this, and even this. But when you compare the 12-pound versus the 8-pound, their stretch is almost the same. Again, going fluorocarbon, $20 for 200 yards versus this $10 for 300 yards. The stretch is almost the same. One floats, one sinks. And I got to tell you guys, if you want a high-end monofilament that doesn't have a lot of memory, and again, I'm a braid guy, so memory don't mean crap to me because I'm always just using an 8 to 10 foot leader, if not shorter sometimes, only down to 24 inches if they're on spinner baits when there's some toothy critters around. I'll put a 20-pound fluoro leader on. The memory of this stuff is almost non-existent. There are some loose coils, but that goes away once you put a load on it, and it's just like any other Sufix product. The G2 winding process that just looks cool as hell when you look at it on the spool. The line comes off, no lumps, no bumps, no memory from the ridges where it's not wound on evenly like the 12-pound P-line Halo. Again, P-line Halo is my go-to. It just wears like iron, despite what the internet tests say when they're rubbing sandpaper on it, because sandpaper is a fish's mouth, right? This is kind of lumpy because it's unevenly wound, and under tension it kind of forms ridges on itself. Sufix lines are just ridiculously smooth, almost like they're greased, and there's nothing different about that here. So would I recommend this line? For any application where you don't care whether or not your line floats or sinks, if you're not fishing braid and you don't feel like dealing with leaders and leader knots, PR knots, Albertos, FGs, my limited experience with monofilament and my tons of experience with braid, and how I can't tell you how many times I've spooled up a reel only to take it off, that night and put on something that I was more familiar with or more accustomed to using or like better. This is staying on for the duration until it wears out. This 15x super tough, 15x what? I don't even want to get into that. Mag extrusion process, that's some silly jargon. I can't call it silly jargon. It probably is a fairly high-tech process. I guarantee you it's not a guy walking down the assembly line with some magnets like this going, hey guys, just applying the magnetic extrusion. I don't think he's doing that. I think it's some robotically complex, fancy stuff. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got. It was interesting to see how it did stretch, almost comparatively to the fluoro. It wasn't too much different compared to this. There was a difference. I can't deny that. But how does it compare to like a Mr. Crappy line or a what's that pissy company that likes to urinate on stuff? Pissy Fun. They have fishing line out, and they're probably comparable to this. So, with all that being said, I would definitely recommend this line. Just a short amount of time on it so far, it's definitely earned a spot. I'm not going to take it off. As much as I would love to, make fun of the fact that I use the word advanced twice on the front of the package. They made up some jargon here. They used one of the top 4 words for advertising and marketing in 2018 next to high definition, nano, and graphene. They used hyper. And they say it's a copolymer monofilament at the same time, where a lot of guys look at monofilament, copolymer, braid, and fluoro as 4 different categories. And then they have all this crap on the back. I mean, it does have low stretch, but it's not half of the other standards. It has low memory. It's brand spanking new line. It's been used a handful of times. Of course, there's not going to be much of memory. I'm coming from Maxima Chameleon, and for you guys out there that used Chameleon, it has a memory like an elephant. And when you compare the Superior abrasion resistance, it's this. In my experience, I'm inclined to agree that this right here, they're not off the they're not off the range. Buy it, give it a shot. Just remember, shop via diameter, not pound test, and you'll be much happier in the long run. Had I known that the 8-pound was going to be 12-pound, I would never have ordered 12-pound, because I would just go right up to 20, which is probably 25. I haven't checked all the diameters. But with all that being said, let me know down below. Do you want me to put out the full hour-long video where I have all the tests? It gets pretty funny because I'm sitting there like almost slapping myself in the face. Like, why did I spend an hour doing all this crap, or hours doing all this crap? And, you know, certain things, you know, the scientificity went out the window pretty early on because of the craptacular Rapala scale. My spring scale wouldn't fit up in the frame, and it's not a high resolution. It's a 100-pound scale and only goes up in 1-pound increments, and it's not very sensitive at the lower rates. So, with that being said, let me know if you want me to put that video out, and let me know your thoughts. If you've used this before, or if you're using it now, what are your initial impressions of it? I'm digging it. Even though it's a little bit thicker, I know, I do really, really enjoy using this line. Enough that I am willing to keep this on one of my reels in the rotation and use it just as I would use a reel spooled 100% with braid. And with that being said, for you guys that are still here, thank you. And for you guys that are new to my channel, you're just finding me now, do me a favor. Give me some of your time. Go check out some of the videos I put out in the past. I think you'll find I do things quite a bit differently. And until next time, guys, tight lines, and I'll see you soon.